conversation for, we found other conversations that are being had around the web on this very topic. One of those sites is our own, MadameNoire.com, and we have our culture editor, Veronica Wells.
Hello.
Hey, girl. Thank you for coming.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So you wrote a piece basically asking people, are you going to boycott Starbucks? So we're going to talk about that in a second. And there was another good piece we found on Hello Giggles, which was written by Tiffany Curtis, and basically saying we need to go beyond boycott Starbucks. And she wrote a good quote: "There is power in the black dollar when we funnel money into mostly white-owned corporations, ones that care more about making a profit from us than they care about humanizing us. Removing our dollars seems like the most powerful solution." So, for starters, do you agree with what she said?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's about taking our money elsewhere, but I think if you're gonna take your money from Starbucks, I saw a video actually on Twitter, and this guy was like, if you're gonna take your money from Starbucks, I don't wanna see you on Dunkin' Donuts. Like, if you're gonna boycott Starbucks, you need to put that money into black-owned coffee shops or black-owned businesses, or businesses that at least make an effort to employ people in the community.
Exactly.
So I think that it's not just boycotting, it's finding a replacement to put your money elsewhere, because you're gonna spend the money.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel like, you know, these boycott topics come up all the time and then you forget? So, like, in a week from now, people will be back at Starbucks. Like, do you think we tend to forget, or are there some issues that come up and you're like, no, never again?
I think, yeah, I think it depends on what it is. I feel like for H&M, I know a lot of black people who are like, nah, I can't even do it anymore, you know? And there's like even like this culture of even trying to shame people who they think are going to H&M, you know, like with Killer Mike and Joanne Reed.
Right.
And you know, I don't think anyone's doing that anymore. And just and the thing is with H&M, it was international. Like people in South Africa were tearing up the H&M stores.
Yeah.
So black people all over the world were really tired of it.
Yeah.
So I think if it hits hard enough,
yeah.
And if there are other alternatives, like there's a lot of places to get clothes, especially with like online retailers or whatever. You don't have to go to H&M. So it depends.
So what were people saying in response to your article?
I think a lot of people were saying, I don't go to Starbucks anyway. So it's not going to be hard for me to not to go there any longer because I never went. Which is something we were talking about, you know, the other day. Like Starbucks has never been like a place that's necessarily particularly hospitable to black women or black people. So I don't think we were going there anyway. I don't, you know, there's other places to go, or we're not heavy coffee drinkers, or so there are other options.
Yeah. And I was trying to find, yes, the one commenter who said, we are race hustlers. Race hustlers? Talking about, you know, we making a big to-do about nothing, kind of. And even Kiera, in our conversation we had earlier, was saying, you know, Starbucks doesn't have a history of, like, black people getting arrested or whatever. Like, do you think this is a case where the reaction is too extreme? We always want to boycott when it's just like, maybe it was just a mistake. Okay.
I don't feel like the reaction is too extreme, because there was another video of this guy. He recorded his interaction with the Starbucks employee, and he asked for the bathroom code. The woman told him he couldn't have the bathroom code, he had to buy something. But there was a white guy who was in the bathroom code, and he didn't buy anything. He actually interviewed this man comes out the bathroom, and he interviews him as soon as he comes out the bathroom, like, Weston, did you buy something at Starbucks? And he was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, and they gave you the code.
Wow.
He's like, yeah. So, I mean, it's not, to me, I feel like it would be different if we hadn't seen so many stories of police killing black men for no reason. So I think it would be hard for anyone to avoid those stories. So for you as a white person to make the decision to call the police on black people when you know where the situation could escalate to just seems, you know, blind to me. Like, it just seems like completely detached and removed and just racist. Like, you know what the police coming for us means in so many different instances. So why would you even do that? Like, them sitting at the table worth bodily harm or death.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about black businesses, because that was my point of just like, if you go into a black business, this is not going to happen to you. And I mean, that's easier said than done in a lot of communities. But even in our poll we did, where we asked people, like, what's the most important factor when you decide where to shop, and they said price was number one. That was like over half. And then reputation was 31% of the audience. 18% said whether it was minority owned. So I feel like we still have a long way to go.
Right. That's number 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when we asked, like, how often do you patronize black businesses, 46% said sometimes, 36% often, only 18%, always. Yeah. What do you think are the real barriers there?
I think people are kind of disillusioned about what it takes to run a business. And I think people feel like, okay, if I can get this coffee for $2 here, then why would I pay $5 at a black-owned place? Not understanding that the corporation has so many different ways to cut out price or to cheapen the price for you, and then they're buying more, so they're getting a discount that way, so they don't have to pass that price on to you, versus the person who has a smaller business is passing that price on to you because they're trying to, one, make a profit and sustain their business.
Exactly.
So I think you have to think about the bigger picture. Like, now, if you can't afford it, then you can't afford it.
Yeah.
But if you have the extra money, and we have money, and we spend our money on a lot of frivolous things. So it's about the bigger picture and looking at the longer term goal. So if you want to patronize a Black business, you're not just buying a product for yourself. You're like helping to stimulate the community.
Yeah. Well, we know we can find you on MadameNoire.com,
Yes.
but you also have Uptown Underground, which is helping to promote Black women businesses.
It
So tell
is.
people where they can find more info about that.
So Uptown Underground is a marketplace for Black women. It's 3 Black women who started it, myself, my sister, and our business partner, Andrea Reed. And we just basically invite Black women who own their own businesses to come and showcase their products. It's going to be in Harlem this year. It's always in Harlem, but this time it's going to be in Harlem again. On Linux, you can follow Uptown Underground Market on Instagram to find out the exact address, dates, times, and see who's going to be there to sell their stuff.
Nice. Thank you, girl.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. And I'm going to close with another note from Tiffany Curtis, who said, as much as we call to remove our dollars from the brands that don't support us, we also have to call out the individual and collective ways that society forces us to feel unsafe in our own skin.